Hello again, this is Poker Face, and today I'll be doing another tag video. And the tag for today is the top 2 books from 6 genres tag. The idea behind this tag is to recommend 2 of my favorite books from 6 different genres. I feel like I have to say that the books I'll be recommending probably wouldn't be my all-time favorites because I'm doing them off the top of my head at this point in time, so I'm pretty sure I'm not putting some awesome books into consideration. Anyway, so let's get into it. The genres are dystopian fiction, romance, fantasy, sci-fi, paranormal, and historical fiction. And so from the dystopian genre, the first book would be Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This one is set in a world where human clones are created just so their organs can be used as spare parts. It's really one of my all-time favorite novels. Anytime someone asks me for a book recommendation, this is the one I always pick. This always comes to mind. So there. The second book is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is a really powerful book, one of the best dystopian novels out there in my opinion. I'll put it on the same level as Orwell's 1984 and Huxley's Brave New World because of its foreshadowing of the trends I think we see in our world today. And from the second genre, which is the romance, the first book is The Sea of Tranquility by Kat Jamilay. This is the story of 2 troubled teenagers who are struggling to live normal lives after experiencing some traumatic events. I thought the pacing was quite slow, but apart from that, I couldn't really fault the book much. The characters felt real, which is something I find to be rare in the YA romance genre. The second pick from the romance genre would be The Rosie Project by Graham Simsayon. I'm not sure I pronounced that name well. Anyways, if Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory wrote a book, this would be it. It follows the story of a man who might have Asperger syndrome, and this man is looking to find a soulmate. The thing about this book for me that I liked was the comic feel. I found it to be really, really funny. That being said, it's a pretty regular romance novel with all the traits you would expect from one. The next genre is fantasy. The first book will be Watership Down. It's hard to really be certain that this book qualifies as fantasy, but I think it does because of the magical feel it had to it, and also it was out of this world. It's a book about rabbits, so I'm guessing that in itself is enough reason for it to be fantasy. Or then it might not be, but anyways, it is my first pick. The second book is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. This one follows the story of a boy called Nobody who was adopted and raised by the supernatural occupants of a graveyard after his parents are murdered. So I found this one to be haunting, and Neil Gaiman is one of the best at what he does. So if you haven't read this one, I think you need to check this one out ASAP. The next genre is sci-fi, and my first pick is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. It's a story about a poor teen who is living in this futuristic world where people escape their shitty lives by immersing themselves inside of a game. And considering that I consider myself to be some kind of a gamer, I felt this book was really, really good. The world building was mind-blowing, and I found it to be really, really imaginative. The second pick is Red Shirts by John Scalzi. This one was sort of like a Star Trek spoof. It's about an ensign who gets assigned to a ship and he discovers that whenever they go on an away mission, someone always dies. And this book is about him trying to find out why that always happens. And it turns out the answer to that question is really, really, really interesting. And the next genre, first pick, this is the fourth or fifth genre, can't remember. Anyways, the first pick from the paranormal genre is Favorite Dream by George R.R. Martin. This is a proper vampire novel by the author of A Song of Ice and Fire. I was really iffy about going into this one because I didn't know how it would be, because I had only read A Song of Ice and Fire at that time. But man, I was really, really blown away by his writing. And George R.R. Martin is a very fantastic writer, if you do not know that already. So if you haven't read this, you really, really do need to check it out. And the second pick is Coraline by Neil Gaiman, another Gaiman book. And if you haven't noticed, or you can't tell by now, I'm a fanboy. This one is about a girl who wanders around in her house, and she finds herself in this alternate world, and she finds out that she can't get back to her house, and this is about her struggle or her attempts to get back to the real world. The next genre, and the final genre I think, is historical fiction. The first pick is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne. It's a Holocaust novel about Bruno, a boy who comes home from school one day, I think. I can't remember correctly where he came back from, but I remember he came back and he found out that his father got a promotion, and then they had to move. And in their new house, he's really lonely and all by himself because he has no new friends to play with. And one day he's roaming around the house and he finds a friend on the other side of the fence. And it turns out his friend is a Jewish guy, Jewish friend. So yeah, the story is about his relationship with this new friend and like the differences between them. One is privileged and the other one is most probably about to die. And so the book is heart-wrenching, and yeah, like all Holocaust novels should be. And the final book is The Book of Night Woman by Marlon James. It was a book about slavery in Jamaica. It's a coming-of-age tale about Lilith, a female slave who was born in a slave plantation. And the book is also about an attempted slave revolt. It was written in patois, so it was a really, really bold move, and it takes some time to get used to. But after a while, I felt it was smooth sailing for me. 5-star book, this. Also, if you haven't read this one, you're wasting your life. Anyways, I'm done. I think this was longer than I expected it to be. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.